Today's subject I want to speak about is they take, but they don't give. Every one of us seeks loving relationships. And in such a relationship, there is give and take principle. This give and take principle is also described by Srila Prabhupada in the Nectar of Instruction, that in a loving relationship there is give and take. Or even in a business relationship, there are loving exchanges to be undertaken. In a business relationship, the loving relationships become a means for an end. So for example, if I want to have a successful business and I meet with a very respectable gentleman, then I want to please this gentleman with gifts. I might invite him to a nice restaurant and we share a meal. And then during this process of loving exchange, that is actually a business, then we speak about the business part. This is a very cultured behavior that we need even in common relationship and in a common sense. So now in the Nectar of Instruction, we find a verse that says there are 6 types of loving exchanges shared amongst devotees. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. First of all, just to clarify the terms, just in case we are not familiar. So everyone knows what gifts are, everyone knows how to accept them, and everyone knows how to give them. This is a very nice tradition we have on Christmas. So on Christmas, everyone is used to get gifts and to give gifts. At least in my family, this tradition has been held up to this date, though nowadays usually there's just an exchange of money or an exchange of cooking, but the tradition is still there that gifts are shared. So the next term, inquiring confidentially and hearing in confidence. This is a loving exchange that is especially shared amongst friends, like-minded people, because in confidence we can reveal our heart and we can seek advice and help each other. And this is a very, very important loving exchange amongst devotees, because in devotional service we face many issues. And these issues can be solved best if we meet with like-minded people and we exchange about the teachings and practical application of this philosophy in our life. Now the next term, offering prasad and receiving prasad. This is especially important to understand that prasad means something that is offered to the Lord. So if I offer some food on my altar, then the result of that offering is called prasad. And even loving exchanges can be sharing food, but for devotees, sharing food is not enough. For devotees, they must offer prasada. So generally, if a devotee offers me something edible, I should expect it is prasada. If it is not prasada, the devotee should specifically mention that it's not offered. And sometimes in very intimate relationships amongst devotees, we may even give bhoga, and then we say, please, this is for your deity. And in this way we offer the devotee bhoga, which is meant to be offered to the Lord. And we also receive these things as a natural part of that loving relationship. So now, explaining this basic verse of loving exchanges, which is shared amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, we should understand that love is a give and take principle. Love is not one-sided. We become frustrated in our material relationships because we think at some point we don't get what we give. And then a relationship becomes burdensome or frustrating or disappointing. Now we should see that if we are aspiring for a true loving relationship, we don't make a business. Just because I receive a nice gift from someone, I should not have the feeling or the need that I must reciprocate by giving him a gift of equal value. Equal value is also very relative, because one friend may be more rich than another, but wealth does not mean that there should or there cannot be any friendship. But naturally, if I'm, for example, wealthy and I really like someone who is maybe a bit poor, maybe I give him a nice expensive gift and I do not expect that he reciprocates with something of equal value because he's poor. But generally, a rich man, he would probably look for rich friends because it's easy to get exploited in this way. However, amongst devotees, the material wealth does not conclude one's devotion. So devotees, they make friendship based on their common goal to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And in this way, it is common, or it should be common, that amongst devotees we accept what we can give and we receive what we can get. It is very easy when we are following this philosophy to feel that within our society or within our relationships, even with devotees, there is not equal reciprocation. I give, but I don't get. This type of mentality is unfortunately very real for each and every one of us, and somehow, if we want to progress in our spiritual advancement, we should accept that not all living entities will give us equal reciprocation, even though we may welcome them with open arms. That's just not a very realistic way of thinking, that immediately when someone begins to practice Krishna consciousness, he will be capable to reciprocate with our love fully. Now, it's very easy to think like that, because whenever we accept any type of relationship, we have certain conceptions how that relationship should be. And ideally, in a relationship with a devotee, we have this verse of the nectar of instruction is our guidance. Something I recognized when I lived in various places, that these loving exchanges are not shared very much. And this is one of the biggest issues that I can see in a Krishna conscious society, whatever the name of that organization is, that we lack a genuine exchange of these loving relationships, of these genuine loving exchanges. And when we lack this exchanges of love, then very easily we start to take each other as a burden, or just as a tolerating, or just as some mild annoyance, because we cannot open up our heart towards each other without following these loving exchanges. And in a relationship, whether it be material or spiritual, if there is not a constant flow of exchanges of love, the relationship is very dry. And if devotees' relationships are dry, then it is not fun to practice amongst the association of such devotees. Then what happens when we don't have these loving exchanges? The atmosphere becomes very dense, very harsh, very inconsiderate, and in this way we start losing the actual essence of Bhakti-Yoga, which is a give and take principle, as Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport. So I found myself that during my stay in various places, I won't mention any names or whatsoever, it's just my observation I had over many years, that because of a lack of these genuine loving relationships, there's a lack of trust, there's a lack of care, there's a lack of spiritual nourishment amongst the devotees. This is why we as a society, or we're trying to be a society of devotees of Krishna, this is our greatest failure. Actually, Srila Prabhupada writes the purposes of ISKCON, and most of these purposes, they actually include establishing loving relationships amongst each other. And what is the purpose of it? What is the goal of it? Many devotees over the years, they feel that they don't get what they came for. We join for love, we join for getting care, we join for finding the spiritual truth and find associates which are like-minded, which have the same goal, to attain spiritual consciousness. And on this path, it is very easily that we are actually becoming each other's enemies, because we are not following loving relationships and genuine respect when having exchanges as devotees. Love is a very deep principle. Respect, that is just one of the first stages of love. Respecting, we can everyone. Loving, we cannot everyone. I can only give my heart to someone who is willing to receive it. I don't like to be exploited. No one does. Krishna himself does not give himself to someone who is not completely faithful to him in a loving relationship. So as such, it should be considered our primary mission to establish loving relationships amongst our society. One reason I join a society is because I want to meet people that are like-minded and that will accept me and that will help me to flourish. And in a society where there's envy, there's constant endeavor to make each other miserable. And this can be in a subtle way, unintended, or in a very calculated way. If it is calculated, it's actually a very demonic principle, and this is something we seriously have to deal with. But if it is something unintended, it may be a lack of spiritual maturity, that we lack the understanding of how to actually have loving relationships with each other. Now, as a practicing devotee, it is very important for us to understand that even though our love may not be reciprocated, still we serve, still we carry on. Because Krishna, he will always reciprocate with us, fully. And unfortunately, we haven't met him yet, at least I haven't. If you have, write down in the comment and we can see. Maybe you can enlighten us how to meet Krishna too. However, as we are on the way back to Godhead, we cannot step over each other's head and expect to actually see Krishna by doing that. And for this, we have to have genuine, heartfelt, loving relationships. And if we have that, no one who comes will ever feel that I am being exploited. There is no exploitation in love. There is simply a give and take principle. And that give and take principle sometimes is unbalanced. Sometimes we may receive someone who is not so capable to reciprocate with the Lord's love. And that's very unfortunate, but our mission should be to encourage him that he also opens himself up and feels that, yes, I want to serve Krishna, I want to love Krishna, I want to render service without expectation for a reward. This type of mentality is very, very good for Bhakti-Yoga. But in an association of devotees where this type of mentality is encouraged, we must meet with genuine reciprocation of this principle. If we have the feeling that, well, this person is actually preaching about love, but I don't feel that he gives me any love, then it is no surprise people go away. And then if people go away because they meet with similar frustrations as they already had in their material life, they come to join for love and care. And maybe, yes, because of immaturity, we are not capable to render fully unmotivated loving service towards Krishna. But amongst devotees, there must be reciprocation. It's a give and take principle. Srila Prabhupada clearly establishes this fact in this verse. And therefore, I kind of want to encourage that we think about this verse very, very carefully, and we try to apply it in our life. Just do these exchanges. I will tell you amazing experience I had. When I needed a laptop to prepare for a service, I got it as a gift from a devotee. Just 500 euro laptop, he just gave it because I needed it for service. It's amazing. It's like I didn't even know that person very well, but still there was such openness to help me in engaging in Krishna's service, and I had a laptop. And this was a very nice gift, and this is a type of a gift I don't expect from anyone. This is actually a type of gift that made me really, really amazed that, wow, this person is so nice, and he helps me to make advancement in my Krishna consciousness because he's enabling me to do a service. Similarly, I also, for this channel, my equipment that came from donation from very nice devotees that I also had a personal relationship with, that encouraged me in this endeavor to serve the Lord. This type of loving exchanges is very, very encouraging. And many times when you feel a bit down, a little bit frustrated, you know, you're a little bit hungry and you're working very hard, then somewhere a devotee comes around the corner and offers you some prasadam. And suddenly when you eat this prasadam, all your worries, all your fatigue, all your unhappiness is just gone, and you just feel excited and happy that you have received such nice prasadam. And similarly, if we get a taste of this receiving, because in first place when we come here we receive, then when we have received this gift we are encouraged to give it to others. And in this way we keep the love flowing by doing these exchanges constantly. And they must be based on genuine friendship. They must be based on genuine care and genuine spiritual happiness in service towards God. And this will make the society very happy and functional. Well, we shouldn't be surprised if we produce dysfunctional people, if we are a dysfunctional society where genuine loving care is lacking. And there's no need of preaching about bhakti, there's no need of preaching about the absolute truth if you have not learned to give. For this, Krishna gives an own example in his pastimes when he sends the cowherd boys to beg for some food from the brahmanas. These brahmanas were engaged in sacrifice. They wanted to attain the Lord. However, because of their fruitive intention to attain the heavenly planets, even though they were perfectly capable to give a donation of food that was already offered in sacrifice, according to religious guidelines, the cowherd boys were speaking very nice philosophy, but they only approached them with the reason, oh, we are hungry, please give us some food for Krishna and for us, and the brahmanas would not give. And this was a very serious fault on their behalf. But the wives of the brahmanas, they were very, very eager to offer something to Krishna and his friends. So actually the wives of the brahmanas reject their husbands because their husbands were now an obstacle in their service to Krishna. And in this way, actually, the wives of the brahmanas are glorified, while the brahmanas themselves, even though very, very elevated, because brahmanas are very dear to the Lord, and even though they had fruitive intents, they were still very, very pure souls, but they did not satisfy Krishna in this incident. And this is a very important lesson we need to learn, that it is important to give when you can give, and if you withhold despite knowing it's wrong, then Krishna is not pleased. And in this way we should consider, if someone feels that he gives and gives and gives, but he does not receive in return, we should question, is there a fault in us? Did we not reciprocate with this person appropriately? Or maybe this person had a material mentality, an exploitative mentality, maybe, could be. However, if we are a mercy movement, it is about giving love of God, we should not be disappointed if someone comes and takes and then he goes away again. But if we make someone actually feel that, you know, he's in this cycle of loving relationships and he becomes caught up in it, and he receives and he gives and he receives and he gives, why would he leave? Breaking the cycle of samsara, repeated birth and death, only possible when we enter the cycle of loving relationships as mentioned in the Nectar of Instruction. And with this meditation, I would like to encourage you, try it out. The next devotee you see and you carry some prasadam, offer it to him. Or if you see someone is in need, someone needs help, offer him help if you are capable to give this help. Or if you see someone struggles and he goes to some difficulties, make yourself approachable. Meet him with sincerity, with understanding, with tolerance and with superior intelligence to guide him that he may attain a better position. Or if you are, so to speak, in the same boat, make friendship, and by the endeavor of your devotional activities in friendship, like chanting the holy name, like speaking about Krishna, you make advancement despite your shortcomings. And this is extremely effective to develop pure devotional service. And in this way, no one will come and think that he gives but does not receive.